And welcome to another edition of Big Nick Energy Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Yoke, the bald kid wonder. That's Brad Dressler, dressed to the best of the mess of the rest. That was horrendous. Brad, how you doing?
I was a lot better before you pulled that just now.
I know.
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Sunny stay on, even indoors. This is what we do in Knicks Nation, whatever.
Knicks Nation staying up. Mets Nation, which I'm not going to talk about after this moment, definitely trending down. So Brad, last night we actually have two games to talk about, which is super exciting because I feel like the whole offseason was just hearsay speculation. There's actually games being played. They don't count yet, but they count in the heart, especially when you are a fan of Obadiah Toppin. Obi Toppin is dunking his way into Tom Thibodeau's rotation. He was already in the rotation. But if this man doesn't get over 20 minutes a game this year, Brad, I think there really will be riots. And we say there's going to be riots every year. This will be the year that Knicks fans riot MSG.
Yeah, I feel like, maybe it's too soon. Maybe I'm overreacting. This is what we've come to expect from Knicks fans at this point. But like you said, I'm at this point in my life where I need to see a legitimate effort in them giving Obi significant minutes, because how many more times do we have to see stuff like that to know that just from a business standpoint, he is electric. He is everything that you want in Madison Square Garden, and you want him on the floor as often as you possibly can see him. I mean, listen,
and born and raised in New York,
and born and raised in Brooklyn. Like, there's so many reasons to want this kid to be successful, and the fact that he's been hindered for the first 2 years, it makes me sick. But last night was a spectacle, to say the least.
Anyone that didn't see the game, so he is a tale of two games so far. The game that we want to talk about in reference, they beat the Pacers 131-114. 24 points, 10 out of 14 from the floor, 4 for 7 from 3, which I think is going to be big throughout the year, whether Obi is getting minutes in the game or not. 3 boards, 2 steals, 1 block. I might have wrote that backwards. And the total highlight of the preseason, which was that East Bay between the legs dunk after getting out and blocking a 3 that he was like a solid 7 feet away from the guy shooting at first.
I was going to say, I'm sorry to cut you off, buddy.
Best for last.
Yeah, man. That's, you mentioned you were reading off the stat line, and you mentioned, just a block. No, that was the block. That was the block that led to the dunk. That was awesome.
I'm not going to lie. If I'm TJ McConnell in that situation, like, the dude had the ball below his balls. I'm trying to Peanut Tillman the ball out of his hands at that point. Because TJ didn't get dunked on, but you could have in essence gotten a steal out of that. And you just were like, I didn't see that coming. That was horrendous. Pretend defense on his part. But dude, how does Obi, this dude needs more minutes. The only problem is the first game, which they won 117-96 against the Pistons earlier in the week. He only had 8 points, 4 for 9 from the field, which awesome. 4 for 5 from 2. He's a great finisher. We all know that. 0 for 4 from 3. 6 boards, 3 assists. The 0 for 4 from 3 versus the 4 for 7 from 3. I want to talk about the dunk. We could do that all day. It's been tweeted a million times, though. His 3-point shooting is what's going to get him to stay in a game or come out of the game quick, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. Like you mentioned, it's kind of like a tale of two games, where kind of what kept him off the court last year was his inability to shoot at a consistent rate. But then he'll have a game where he shoots 4 for 7, and you're like, this kid has something. What always baffled me was the fact that Obi, and now listen, I understand the college game is very, very different, but he's got several accolades from college. I mean, off the top of my head, don't sue me, I don't recall exactly what it was. I think it was like the Naismith player of the year.
He was MVP.
Right. So it's like he shot, I do recall also, he shot 39% from 3. Now, granted, as I mentioned, I think in the last pod, where he the entire Dayton offense was kind of built around Obi. Like, he was the engine, similar to a Jimmer Fredette, similar to a JJ Redick. These are people that I think of where, like, the offense made him successful, which is fine. But the fact that he was able to shoot 39% from three on decent volume in college, it just baffles me how he's so bad now, you know? So I should say inconsistent.
I don't know how many Dayton games you actually watched when he was like at Dayton. What I've come to realize, and it's shown up a lot in his professional career, he has never been that great of a corner 3-point shooter. The threes that he made were a lot of times were like on the wing or straight on. It's like he's the type of dude that needs to see the backboard or like have maybe something beyond the rim to be aiming at. And his corner threes are the ones where you like they either like look like cash or they go a foot over, and there's like not much of in between.
Yeah, it's gonna be that is gonna be a very telling. That's gonna be something to watch throughout the entire season, because if he can even just shy of league average, we're talking. Listen, everyone wants to talk, all this nice, fancy, mushy gushy stuff about DeJounte Murray. He shot 32% from three last year, but he made the All-Star team and he was phenomenal in every aspect of the game. If he could just get to that, like in that realm, 32, 33, 34 on some decent volume, there's legitimate like reasoning to keep him on the floor for considerable minutes, especially with, Julius Randle not being the best 3-point shooter anymore.
That's true. Randall only had one good year of doing it. Last thing about Obi, I just want to ask you a hypothetical. He averaged 17 points a game last year. What is the number that we're both looking to get him to?
Minutes, you mean?
Minutes per game, sorry.
It's hard, it's really hard to say, just because of the fact that, Joe, there's no path to getting him considerable minutes without either not playing Julius Randle nearly as much, which I know he's not going to be happy about. Plus, we're paying him $100+ million a year, for $100+ million over the next 4 years. How do you not play him 30+ minutes a night? So it's like, unless we're able to find a way, unless the Knicks are able to find a way to have them share the court, even for a few minutes, per half, it'll be astronomically different. I want to see him get into the 22 to 25 minute a night range, but again, I don't see that even coming close to being a real reality unless he shares the court with Julius Randle.
I am looking for 22 minutes a game, and I'm looking for, just to make it fast, looking for him to get 22. I'm looking for Randle to hover around 30, which adds up to 52, which means they would have to share the court for 4 minutes a game, 2 minutes a half, like around the 7-8 minute second quarter and fourth quarter mark before you like want to take Obi out or whatever. Like just 4 minutes a game is not going to ruin Tom Thibodeau's defensive scheme. I can guarantee that. I've watched the starters blow so many leads that the defensive scheme of Evan Fournier being out there and Mitch Robinson getting himself into foul trouble consistently is not going to be the be all end all. Moving on from Obi, I do want to talk about, so we didn't get to RJ or Jalen that much last week. RJ Barrett, which we've both been looking for, I think almost every single Knicks fan has been looking for. He is now going to be the highest paid player on the team starting next year. And he is getting the looks that he actually should as the highest paid player. He led the starters in both shot attempts and points both games, which is a major plus. Against the Pistons, he won 21 points, 8 for 14 from the floor, 3 for 5 from three, 2 for 2 from the line, 5 boards, 2 assists, a steal and a block. So 21 on 3 for 5 from three specifically. Against the Pacers, 18 points, only 6 for 15 from the field, but 4 from 7 from three. So over 50% both games from three. 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. By the way, the Knicks tangent note, the free throw shooting the first 2 games. Imagine we could just shoot over 95% the whole year. Then we'd win 70 games. Be the best team of all time.
We're basically fielding an entire team of Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Oddly enough, I think they have like 5 or 6 missed free throws. Quickly as 2 of them.
Wild. The best free throw shooter on the team.
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, 6 from 15. I feel like this is something that we're just going to have to get used to, unfortunately. He's going to have his stinkers. 40% from the field's not terrible. The one thing that I do like to look at when I'm looking at this box score is the 4 from 7 from 3-point land, right?
After
Now,
3 for 5, he was over 50% both games.
right. So, I do want to see his efficiency as a shooter go up, especially when you have guys like Julius Randle, guys like Jalen Brunson, who kind of live and eat in the mid range. You need RJ Barrett to be able to stretch the floor, but he's that slasher. He's that guy that's supposed to bring the gravity with him of the defense and attack that rim. One thing that we've seen over and over and over again is his inability to finish at the rim. And as we can see, I mean, he shot 2 for 8. That's not good. But,
I got the percentage for you. So for the first 2 games, it was over 50% from 3, below 42% from 2.
Well, from 2 or overall?
From 2.
See, that's not good. That's really not good. But listen, it is preseason. He's still working it out. I have full faith in the kid turning into. Again, when it's all said and done, I don't see RJ Barrett being the best player on a championship caliber team, but like a Robin to a Batman. Like, I think he would have paired really well with a Donovan Mitchell, and we probably would have seen the best version of RJ Barrett we'd ever seen. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but the best version statistically that we've seen of RJ Barrett to this day was actually when he played a Robin to Julius Randle's Batman, and that was his best statistical and most efficient season so far. So I definitely, it's promising to see that they're really giving him the I don't want to say that giving him the keys, but he's definitely the driving force of the offense for sure.
I want to bring up a point. It's going to relate baseball to basketball, and then ask you a follow-up question about RJ from it. It's been very noticeable in the past couple of years that pitchers have specifically been watching game film and game tape of other pitchers' pitches that they really like. I know they talked about Shohei Ohtani doing this multiple times during the year. He just added someone else's sinker at one point, and he crushed with it, throwing at like a 98-mile-an-hour sinker. Do you think RJ can watch Jalen Brunson, who's like, the point I'm bringing them up is because he's not the biggest, fastest, strongest, most athletic. RJ is strong for his position specifically, but not the most athletic and not the fastest. Can he watch someone like Jalen Brunson, who is very finesse-like and finishes at the rim? Or is there like anyone else in the league that he's like can watch that's a great finisher and doesn't necessarily jump over people like Obi, and he's not as long as Mitch?
Right. So to your first point, I believe that was the Yankees Clay Holmes sinker, if I'm not mistaken. Is that who you're talking about?
I'm a Mets fan, so I refuse to give the Yankees any credit whatsoever. But I'll take your word for it.
I believe it was Clay Holmes' sinker that he was just like, there's that like viral video of like Ohtani just kind of at the bat, like, was that 100-mile-per-hour sinker? It was it was a 100-mile-per-hour sinker, buddy.
2 weeks later, he had it.
That's awesome. That's awesome that he was just like, he saw that, he was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, isn't that crazy how you can like, there's people that literally take their entire lives to learn something, and there's people that are so advanced athletically that they could just pick something up. Just like, oh yeah, 2 weeks later, the sinker is mine. But to your point, yeah, this is an NBA 2K at the end of the day. Like, these are real people. Like, being who you're around is absolutely going to affect who you're around on a day-to-day basis is absolutely going to affect who it is that you're emulating. And I think that he can learn a lot, not only from a on-court basketball perspective, but I think that once this team makes its way into tougher games and games against Eastern Conference opponents that have like serious playoff implications or seeding implications, or even just in the playoffs in general, like, I have full faith that if we make it into the play-in this year, Jalen Brunson is going to be the reason why we win games in those settings, because he's just an absolute dog. And absolutely. I think that, to your point, yeah, you have to learn how to constantly reinvent yourself. And I think that RJ is still so young and so malleable that he can learn a ton from how Jalen Brunson has kind of like lived his life up until now, where he kind of has this like chip on his shoulder, and he's figured out how to be successful at literally every single aspect of his basketball career.
Agreed entirely. My favorite play that I've seen Brunson actually have so far in the preseason was the drive he had against Isaiah Stewart when Stewart got switched on to him in the Pistons game, and then Brunson just like takes him to the rack. Stewart's like, oh, I'm about to pin this against the backboard. I got him right where I want him. And then Brunson literally just like head fakes a little bit, goes around the other side and just flips it up. And then Stewart's nowhere near him on the play by the end of it. And it's like, it just goes to show, like, if you're the basketball is as much about fakes as it is about being athletic. Like, Brunson's never going to jump over Isaiah Stewart. And no, even with a trampoline, I don't think he's not going to make it. But like, if you just go a little head fake, you keep your dribble alive, and a dude just all of a sudden jumps, he's 5 feet away, and you don't have to worry about anything. And I just want RJ to be able to do that.
Right.
Brunson's overall control and ability of running the offense and offensive sets, which we both obviously love, and many Knicks fans and Timberwolves fans and Bulls fans have complained about Tom Thibodeau not actually creating offensive sets outside of an occasional out of bounds play here or there. How much do you think Brunson has helped with the overall offensive setups? And then how much do you think he's helped Randle so far with getting into his spots and positioning?
Incredibly small sample size as of now. Obviously, it's 2 games, and they're both games that don't count in their preseason games,
against below average competition too.
Exactly. I mean, yes, to some extent. I mean,
the Pacers for sure. The Pistons might be frisky. I don't know.
Yeah, I really do think that, and I think Indiana's gonna make some waves as well sooner than later, because both of those teams are being built really, really well. But neither here nor there. To your point, I mean, it's like night and day. You know, we were subject to watching Alec frickin' Burks run the point last year, and for anyone who's a non-believer in the Knicks and what it is that they're capable of this year, take a look at last year. We literally had Alec Burks, who's nowhere near. If he was a true point guard, he would be probably the 40th best point guard in the league, like 45th, maybe somewhere in that realm. Like, he's just not an actual point guard, and he just doesn't know how to properly run an offense. Because of that, it's going to be night and day. The fact that we were still able to win 37 games last year with no point guard, and then we were obviously able to win 41 in a shortened season with Elfrid Payton, who's also not the best point guard. I mean, probably better than Alec Burks if we're being honest, but Jalen Brunson has just brought an entirely different just aspect. Like, he's able to, he does what point guards are able to do. He breaks down a defense. He knows how to get others involved, when to get them involved, and he also knows how to create his own offense when necessary. So, I mean, again, I really want to see a larger sample size to really see what he's capable of doing when they start to key in on him a little bit more defensively, what it is that the other guys are going to be able to do around him. But I mean, he's making RJ look a lot better in a lot of ways. He's making Mitch look a lot better in a lot of ways. He's making Julius Randle, most importantly, look a lot better in a lot of ways. So I couldn't be more excited.
Do you think it's Jalen Brunson's fault that neither Evan or Cam looked good? Does he just hate that one position? I'm totally joking. It's totally a joke. Then that was for you. So I do want to ask you about Randle specifically. So Randle in the first game, 15 points, 6 of 10 from the floor, 2 for 4 from 3, 1 for 2 from the line, 6 boards, 4 assists. The second game, and remember I said 2 for 4 from 3. The second game, Randle 15 points, 4 for 11, 1 for 7 from 3, 6 for 7 from the line, 7 boards, 4 assists. There, literally, Obi Toppin was bad and Randle was good in game 1, and Randle was bad and Obi Toppin was good in game 2. And we've seen this coach for 2+3 years now just ride the hot hand with anyone not named RJ Barrett or Julius Randle or his starting center. And he's not going to do it with Jalen Brunson this year. But Randle, I think, has lost the leash of withstanding that. And we still have I think Cam is actually out of it. We'll get to that at the end. But we still have the Grimes, Fournier, whoever's hot, leave him in thing, or IQ to leave him in, go on. Obi's good enough to ride the hot hand. Randle was not hot. So where do we get this to happen? I know we already brought the Obi thing, but where do we get Randle to buy into? If you don't have it, don't be mad you didn't get 30 minutes tonight. Is Jalen Brunson that guy? Is Thibodeau that guy? Who's making him buy in?
Uh, it remains to be seen. One thing that I'm nowhere near a Julius Randle apologist by any means, but I do believe that he's bought in to some extent where we don't really see point guard Julius anymore, right? So we don't
There's
see
no need for him
really,
anymore.
you can't, so the fact that he's found ways to operate more efficiently off the ball and he's still able to put up decent numbers in relatively limited minutes. I mean, I have the minutes here: 22 minutes, 15 points. Okay, he's probably going to see somewhere in the realm of 30 to 34 minutes, and if you nearly double that, he's still getting his 20 plus points a night, or give or take. So I think that he's just finding ways to get himself looks in an offense that is no longer ran through him, and that's the beauty of it, in my opinion.
I agree. And the offense that when it was ran through him for the 4 seed 2 years ago without the fans, I mean, that was the overall absolute peak of Julius Randle in his whole career. I think we're ever going to get. He never was supposed to be like LeBron James or Giannis. He's not that player. So like the fact that he was able to lead a team that far by having to do that as a backup skill set is amazing. But now that it's not needed, and Jalen Brunson, who, if we listen to people online, is only the 14th best point guard in the league, give or take. But when you went from 14th from like 35th, like our best point guard like was the 35th best point guard in the league, that's a huge jump, and it's really noticeable. And I really hope Randle buys in, and I really hope Thibs can like just get to the point of like, you're good, you're not tonight, it's okay, don't be mad or upset. Like chances are Randle's going to close almost every game no matter how good Obi is doing in a night. But if he has to go in at the 4 minute mark of the fourth quarter versus the 9 minute mark, I think we'll all be okay if Obi's putting up 20 and 10 on a per 36 basis.
That's just kind of like what my point has been for a while now. It's like regular normal teams with good coaching, unless you have like absolute superstar talent across the board, they make adjustments and they play the right players. Whereas Thibs, for one reason or another, is just like so set in stone. Like, these are the guys that are going to get minutes. I'd like to see him run more of like a hot hand approach at the power forward spot, especially because both guys they have very different skill sets and they bring very different upsides to the offense. And I think that they need to be able to, like I said, operate like other teams do, and find ways to get wins and generate wins by playing the right personnel. Plain and simple.
Agreed. And basketball and all sports are a game of matchups. And if you have two guys that are polar opposites that play the same position and come in at different times, you're really messing with the other team. And I think that's very beneficial. One guy that does have a major skill set, allegedly, I'm going to keep saying allegedly until it's proven. Cam Hive is losing bees, man. I don't know who the queen bee is anymore. I don't know who the worker bees are, but it's looking no bueno. Cam in the first game, where he did tweak his ankle and they took him out precautionarily. I think if it was like a regular season or even a postseason playing game, he might have been more available still. In the first game, 3 points, 1 for 6 from the field. He made 1 out of 3 threes to get 3 points, a rebound, an assist, and a block. And in the second game, which even worse, and he started because both Evan and Grimes were out, and he started over IQ, and this was really his opportunity to shine. 2 points, 1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 2 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, the quadruple dose. It's not, Cam, your bag is so deep. We all want you to do well. No, not a single Knicks fan doesn't want you to succeed on this team, or even when you end up leaving this team, which seems more or less inevitable at this point. We all hope you succeed somewhere, somehow, some way. But for some reason, you get opportunities and you've consistently let yourself down. In the games you've scored 30 points in your career, your team's lost almost, I'm pretty sure, every one of those 5 games. On the games that you've started and you ended up getting benched in the middle of the game, the Hawks did it to you twice. They won both the games you got benched. Like, dude, You're so skilled. You play great defense. You have a 3-point shot. You have a free throw shot. You shoot like 90% from the line. You don't even get to the line. Like, you drive and like you end up finishing. You try to do finishes like Randle, but you can allegedly jump out of the gym. I just don't understand. What am I missing with this dude, Brad, at this point? Is he going to get another chance? Is this it? Does he deserve minutes? Like, where are you here?
I think it's very telling. And to your point, I've gotten into it with a lot of people over Twitter over the validity of how good Cam Reddish actually truly is. I just feel like I think it's very telling the fact that he's been given these opportunities in meaningless preseason games. Game 1, he had no pressure of Quentin Grimes. He just had to either play well or play better than Evan Fournier, and he couldn't, right? And okay, I mean, up until the point where he quote unquote tweaked his ankle, which I don't think is true at all. He shot 1 for 6. It was ugly, and I feel like he was the only player not playing within the offense. Then you see game 2. He has, okay, granted, there is the added pressure of him having to kind of fight for a position within the rotation, and that's been there. That's kind of there for Quentin Grimes as well. That's kind of there for Evan Fournier in a lot of ways. To shoot 1 for 7 in a game where you didn't have the added pressure of having one of those other guys to outperform, and for you to do that just kind of goes to show that he's kind of like a mental midget in a lot of ways. Like, he just kind of folds under pressure, and that's really not good to see, because these are absolutely meaningless games. All he had to do was just show that he understands what to do and how to play his role in the offense, and then score when the looks are given to you. And he just hasn't done that. And I think that, again, he can have all the talent in the world. I mean, he probably looks phenomenal in the gym, but when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to real games, he doesn't show up. And like you said, even the games where he has showed up and showed out, they lost. That these are all very, very telling things about a player. He is and he is not and never will be a focal point of an offense, in my opinion. And that's just, I mean, nothing has proven me otherwise.
I totally agree. And I've tried to see it from the other side. I've actually put a lot of time, because once too many people get on one side of something, I purposely go to the other side. I'm just naturally a contrarian. The whole Mets, Jets, Knicks thing, you root for the team that's losing. And I just can't do it. I can't see it. I'm sure this dude can go to Rucker Park and drop 60 and make every single person out there that's not already an NBA player look absolutely foolish. And he just make him be a decent defensive substitute. Honestly, I'm like, at this point, like, he's way better than anything Frank Ntilikina ever was. I think we can all agree on that, right? They're like, so whatever Frank Hive that existed for years that made no sense whatsoever. Like, he can do what we all thought Frank can do. He can actually help, like, push a fast break. Yeah. He can dribble drive a little bit. He's a decent passer. Like, just he's not a closer. He can't finish. It is what it is. If this dude gets 6 minutes a game at this point, I think it'd be a miracle. Straight up.
I could see him getting more playing time on a team that's not really playing for anything. I think that there really should be one of those, like, bottom 5 to 7 teams in the league that should show some kind of interest in Cam. It's just a question of what it is that they're willing to give up for him, and I just don't know. I could also see maybe like the Lakers still showing some interest in him, maybe kind of like be one of the leaders of the second unit. But again, it's really sad to see how he can be just demoralized and crushed under the pressure in, again, meaningless games. Now, again, granted, he has the added pressure of having to kind of play for his role within the rotation, so I do understand that. But what's the saying? The cream rises to the top. Like, at the end of the day, you need to take these opportunities and really just do the most with them. And the fact that he's made 2 out of 13 shots out of 2 games is just unacceptable.
We're not going to beat it a horse anymore. That it is what it is. Cam,
Yep.
we wish you the best. Hopefully you can at least either 1, crack our rotation at some point, or 2, get the Knicks a second round pick. I think you might be a sunk cost.
That would
honestly.
that's like, in my opinion, that is damn near close to being a fireable offense.
He's not a first. You can't get a first round pick for this dude anymore. It's almost
the fact
impossible.
that, I mean, he's still Cam Reddish. Like, he's not some scrub where it's
on
like
paper.
Right. But the fact of the matter is, Joey, like, we just we traded. What was
it was Kevin Knox in a protected first for Cam Reddish and a second.
Yeah, but then we got that pick by kicking the can down the road in 2021 and trading that 19th pick for that top 18 protected with Charlotte.
Right.
I don't know.
Which also might not cash in for a couple of years anyway. So it does too. Whatever. I don't know. I don't want to. Whatever. We'll move on.
Neither here nor there. I mean, it's sad. But again, I mean, if we only got even a couple of second round picks for Cam Reddish, I mean, at that point, it's like, what did we really messed up there? But neither here nor there.
Now, for really quick, for TikTok and YouTube Shorts, we're gonna do a quick little thing. It's called either would you rather or this or that. First, this or that, Brad. Do you want the title to be this or that, or would you rather?
This or that.
This or that. Okay.
What about you?
I was going to go with whatever you got. I'm asking the questions. Doesn't bother me.
Fair enough.
Ange here. He wanted this or that. So that's already 2. I'm not going to ask myself. Vin, doesn't matter. So there's 2 to 1 at least. So Brad, this or that. The Obi Toppin East Bay preseason dunk last night, or John Starks dunking on MJ and Horace Grant in 1993 Game 2 Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, Starks, 100%. I mean, listen, the dunk, yes, was the dunk prettier? 100%. I mean, it's one of the prettiest in-game dunks of all time, but the fact that you're able to do that with the added pressure of it being the playoffs against one of the best teams of all time, 100% John Starks.
I just wanted to make sure. Prisoner of the moment, recency bias, makes some young people say some crazy things sometimes.
Yeah, no.
And the other this or that. Who gets more minutes this year? Cam Reddish or Svi Mikhailuk?
Svi Mikhailuk or Cam Reddish? Who gets more minutes? Oh,
on the Knicks, on the New York Knickerbockers. Now, when they go to a different team,
considering that they pretty much play the same positions, like they play the 2 and the 3, they could occasionally play the 4 in smaller lineups. You're bringing, and Cam is still there. Cam is absolutely getting more burn than Svi Mikhailuk. 100%. 100%. There's no question.
I'm going to say it's going to be Svi because Cam is going to be traded before the trade deadline. And
that's not part of the conversation, Joey.
I said on the Knicks for the whole year purposely because I think one's going to get traded. And when Svi Mikhailuk is getting 10 garbage minutes at the end of the year and Cam's not on the team, he's going to win the battle by 1 minute, baby.
Fair enough. I mean, if that's the case, then yes, I go with Svi.
All right. Don't add that part. Make him take Cam. I took Svi. We'll see who's right in about 7 months. Brad, number 2 in the books. Any last words?
No, man. This was a lot of fun. Really excited to get some more content out to you guys. We have some really awesome things cooking, and we may or may not be getting a pretty special interview very soon. Fingers crossed. Let's see. But yeah, man, I mean, this was a lot of fun. I'll be actually going to the game Friday against the Wizards. This should be out well before then. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. I guess you can find us at Big Knick Energy _ on Twitter. You can also find us at Big Knick Energy on Instagram. You can find myself at Brad Dressler 24 on Instagram and Twitter. What about you, Joey?
I am at Joey Lendolfa on both Twitter and Instagram. You can also find Big Knick Energy on TikTok, where we're going to start adding some of these this or that's and a bunch of little fun stuff. Also like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And that's where you're going to find us. And that is going to be it for everybody. Oh, and also, real quick, I always forget. Big Nick Burt does great post games and pre games for a lot of the games. Definitely worth following him on YouTube. Check out a lot of his stuff. Great content that dude puts in. He might put in more work than any of us prior to Big Nick Energy. Those videos are super sick. I love him.
Yes, sir.
And that's going to be it for us until next week. Let's go, Knicks. Peace.